Hey everybody, Luke here from Skyterra and Embrace. I'm going to be doing a cooking demo today. I just want to welcome everybody. This is going to be my first live event. I'm really excited to see and cook for you guys. A little bit about me. I work at Skyterra and Embrace. I'm the executive chef over there. And what I do is I get to guide our students over there in increasing and strengthening their culinary skills. Each day for me kind of looks like guiding them through recipes, exploring new food options that they may have never had before, and then just supporting them through creating those awesome dishes. Other things that we do there, we have community meals where all of our students eat together. We have a beautiful, awesome kitchen there that each of our students gets to cook in and cook for each other, and it's a whole lot of fun. So today, what I'm planning on doing is I'm going to be showing salmon cakes. Now this is a recipe that has consistently been a crowd favorite for our students. I don't know how many times I've been asked for this recipe when they're leaving, and I don't know how many times we have made it. So let's go ahead and get started. So I want to start out first of all with our salmon. So this recipe is one where we take really good, awesome, wild caught fresh salmon and we turn it into a salmon patty that's then served like a burger. Now, first of all, I really want to talk about why we use salmon. So salmon is a great source of protein. It's high in omega-3s, and it tastes really, really good. We get a lot of students that come in and they don't like seafood. They've maybe eaten shrimp, scallops. Salmon's kind of our intro fish into being more adventurous when it comes to salmon. So, another thing that we like to do is we teach our students how to break down whole fillets of salmon. So if you look here, these are kind of our cross sections of a giant, probably 1.5 foot long whole fillet. And we teach our students how to not only break down whole fillets, but portion them into sizes that are right for them, as well as do other things besides just eating a piece of fish. Cool. So let's get started. We're going to have kind of a lot of stages to this recipe. We're going to be searing our fish, which will then be baked off. We're going to be taking that cooked fish and then making salmon patties out of those. Those will be seared again and then baked again. We're going to make a garlic and herb aioli, and then I'll show you guys how to serve those up. Cool. So we'll start. I've got some salt, some pepper, and some paprika. And these are really just going to be lightly seasoned. Now the thought there is because these are only being cooked so that they can then be made into patties. That's where they're going to get a lot of their flavor. So we'll start with a little bit of salt. And one thing we run into is we do want to make sure these aren't super moist on the exterior of the fish when we're cooking them, because that will kind of take away how good our sear will be. A little bit of pepper. And just a little bit of paprika. This is going to make them really beautiful. It's going to help them sear well. And again, if you burn these, if they stick to the pan, that's totally okay, because again, they're going to go into a salmon cake. So we'll come over here. Now, I am using induction cooking, so this is essentially like a really smart hot plate. But at home, you can use a cast iron, you can use stainless, you can use just a plain old nonstick. It really doesn't matter as long as you can get it hot enough to sear your fish. Now ideally, you do want a pan that can go straight into the oven because again, we're going to be taking these seared fish and then putting the whole pan into the oven. That takes away a step that I have to move the fish. And then things to look out for there is you really don't want a handle that can't go in the oven. So avoid any handle that's going to be wood. Silicone is okay, but nothing plastic. Cool. So I got some plain old olive oil. That'll go into our pan. And again, we want this really hot. So we're looking for a sizzle, and you guys probably can't hear it there, but when I have just a little bit of moisture on my hand, it kind of starts to pop and sizzle. Another good indication is our oil will also shimmer, and that is a good sign that it's hot. I don't know if you can hear that. We got a nice sizzle. Now, while these are searing, I want to talk to you guys just about why we're doing this. So, searing is really cooking just the surface of a food item really, really hot. And there's a lot of different reasons to do this, and you can do it with a lot of different things. So, chicken, steak, burgers, you can really sear whatever you like. And this is a major skill that we teach our students at Embrace. And the reason why is, I can come on in here. So here's our salmon. So, when we are searing, we're cooking just that surface. Now, what our mission is in cooking it like this is that we're creating kind of a barrier, a border on the exterior of our product where we can trap moisture in the middle. So by doing this, we create much juicier, much more tender cuts of meat, and we'll keep this salmon a lot more juicy. Now, a lot of folks will ask, can I just throw it in my air fryer? Can I throw it in the oven? And the simple answer is absolutely. My recommendation there is that you just bump your oven just a little bit hotter. We're going to be cooking these at 350. And if you are just going straight into the oven, make sure that you do use a good amount of oil so they don't stick. And also make sure that that oven is probably in the 375 to 400 range. Okay. So, about a minute and a half on each side. And that is exactly what we're looking for. So just beautiful. Now you'll see our crust has already formed. We've got these beautiful edges. Don't worry about trying to sear the sides of our fish. Salmon cooks really quick anyway. But what we'll do now is this whole pan gets to go into the oven. Now it's going to go into an oven that's preset at 350 and about 15 to 20 minutes. Really, that timing depends on your oven. Know your oven. But ultimately, the best way to do it is just get a kitchen thermometer, and you want it to be 145 inside. Constantly, our students will ask, like, how do you get things so moist? How do you cook things so well? It's not some, like, magic chef secret. It's literally just having a kitchen thermometer. Knowing your internal temps allows you to not overcook your food, but also cook it enough where it's safe to eat. I'm constantly recommending that, and that's a really good way to know that it's done. Okay, so once we have our salmon out, we're gonna be looking just like this. So our salmon was in our oven for about 15-20 minutes, and through the miracle of movie magic, we now have cooked salmon. Now, one of the things that you're looking for, of course, is having that internal temp be 145, but a really good giveaway is that it will flake. See how we have those pieces that just come right off? That's exactly what we're looking for. Now, if your salmon was undercooked, it would kind of just mush. And if it was overcooked, it would kind of just like crack in half, which is not the end of the world because, again, we are making these into cakes. So this is almost a great recipe for salmon you've kind of messed up. But we're going to start working on our cakes. So this recipe, which will get shared at the end of our video, it's for 3 to 4 whole fillets of salmon. Today I've cut it in half just because I don't need 18 salmon cakes, but we're going to go ahead and make that mix. So I like to just barely break up, and man, just look at that. It's beautiful. We'll break up our salmon pieces. And then just get them into chunks. Now, this is a recipe that has been made so many different ways at Embrace. And it really comes down to what you want to put in it. Some people put Cajun spice, some people will add fennel or dill, and that's amazing. Really, you don't need a whole lot to make these good, and it really comes down to how you want to make them. Important things to keep in mind when you're making them is you do need a binder, and today we're going to be using breadcrumb and an egg, and you do need some sort of seasoning. So even if that's as simple as salt and pepper, that's totally okay. And we'll kind of go into what we're looking for as we're making these. So into this, we have 1/4 of a cup of mayonnaise. Now we're using vegan mayonnaise. It's just a extra virgin olive oil based mayonnaise. You can use Duke's, you can use any of your favorite mayonnaise. We just really love the flavor and how well this holds up to high heat and when we bake them. We're gonna add 1/3 of a cup of shallots or red onion, yellow onion, green onion, really whatever you want, just to kind of give it that bite. We're gonna do 2 teaspoons of Old Bay. Now our recipe calls for Old Bay just because it's really easy. And we've also designed this recipe to be able to substitute other types of shellfish. So if you wanted a crab cake, this would be great. If you wanted a tuna cake, or even, let's see, a shrimp cake. We've done that one time before. These will work. This is a really good base cake recipe for seafood. So there's our Old Bay. We're gonna add just about a tablespoon of lemon juice, and I'm gonna reserve some of this lemon juice for later because we're gonna be making a garlic aioli that's amazing. We'll do a 1/2 cup of our breadcrumbs. Now these are gluten-free breadcrumbs, but use whatever you want. Our original recipe calls for panko, and that's really kind of our go-to, our favorite one. It's not gluten-free, but panko is super neutral, and it works kind of across the board to really just do its job and bind the cakes together and not overpower with any extra flavor. Okay. Just a pinch of salt. So 1/2 teaspoon, not a whole lot. And the same with our pepper. Cool. So now we're just gonna mix this together. Now, like I was saying earlier, The texture that you like is totally up to you. Some of our students will make this recipe and they break down the fish so much that it is truly like a burger, like ground meat. And I think that's awesome. I really like it that way too. But because of the quality of salmon that we get in Embrace, I really like there to be some chunks. So you really get to highlight that fish. So as we're working it, you can kind of come on in here and see. We're starting to get almost like a tuna salad texture. Now what we're looking for is a thumbprint. Now, once we have that, we can add our final binding agent, and that's an egg. So, with the egg, anytime I'm gonna add it to a pre-mix mix, I like to put a little well in our mixture and then crack our egg into it. And then what I can do is I can just kind of scramble my egg before combining. Now again, not super important, but this just helps me realize or ensure that that egg is going to be evenly mixed into our final product. Now, if you're someone that doesn't eat egg, you can use flaxseed, ground flaxseed. You don't even have to make a flax egg. You can just mix a tablespoon of flaxseed into the mix and it'll act as a really good binder. You can also just add a little more breadcrumb. Now my recommendation there is that you try to avoid overcooking it if you are going to use a lot more breadcrumb, because it will tend to dry out a lot faster. So here's our mix. Now when we make these, we have made as many as 30 of these at a time. Again, this is only a 2 fillet recipe. But one of the things that makes this such a keeper at Embrace is how well these stay. I will make these at home, and I know our students have made these for parents, and they'll make like 10. And that's because once you freeze them, they're great. They don't change quality for 2 to 3 months in the freezer as long as they're tightly sealed. At that point, they're already really cooked. You can just pop them in an air fryer or an oven, and there's a super easy 10-minute dinner right there. So consistently, we'll get asked, like, how do you know how much a patty is? Do you weigh it? Do you get an ice cream scoop, which is an amazing idea, get an ice cream scoop. One thing that I found that really works is just using measuring cups, going by volume. So we've kind of figured that our really perfect burger size for these salmon cakes is about 1/2 cup. So that's just a way that I can get consistent patties while working with this. So I'll do just a little bit of olive oil, and that's just to help it release. And like I said earlier, we're gonna be searing these guys again and then finishing them in the oven. Now, our salmon has already been cooked fully. Really all we're doing is crisping them by searing them, giving them that beautiful crust. And then we're gonna be finishing them in the oven and cooking that little bit of egg that's been mixed into the batter. So, go right into it. So, when it comes to pattying, one thing that I've really realized with fish is that there tends to be a little more space in it than in, say, ground beef or ground pork. So I start here. Now this is still really loose. There's a lot of extra air. So one thing that I teach our students is that before we patty or we start to shape into patties, we give it a good squeeze and that's going to help everything bind. And then we start working. Our patties. Okay, so there's one. Now, with this amount of fish, I've usually found that I get about 3 and like a ball bite size. So we'll see if we can get 3 big ones out of this. Now, consistently at Embrace, we're exploring seafood with our students. A lot of our students they kind of focus on foods that are really comfortable for them, and at Embrace we try to provide a safe feeling environment where they can kind of explore new things, new fish, new foods just in general. And this is one that always kind of opens that door for them. So we got 2. And I think we can just go for it. Nah, we might get 4. Let's see. That'll be a little bit. So again, the squeeze. And then our patty. I think we're just going to stop there. We got 3 beautiful patties that we don't need to mess with. So, now again, it's time to sear. Now, at home, again, you can just throw these bad boys right into the oven and they're gonna be amazing. I like to sear because not only does it present better and give you that crust, but it also teaches them an extra skill that they get to practice in the comfort of our kitchen. So, I'm going to get my pan heating up, and what we're looking for is we want to go about medium-high. We want it pretty hot, but we don't want it quite as scorching high as the first time we sear. Now at Embrace, we've kind of designed our menu. We've got a rotation of all of our food. We've designed our menu where we have themed dinners. Now Friday is seafood day, and we do everything from salmon fillets to salmon cakes to shrimp to tilapia. We played around with some mahi before. That was a lot of fun. And this is just one where they're looking forward to it like 2 weeks out. So into our hot pan. Thanks to induction, this burner gets like instantly hot. It's amazing. We're just gonna go straight in with about a tablespoon of oil. Now if they start to fall apart, that's totally okay. That could be a sign that you did go a little light on your binder. But again, we're gonna put these in the oven. So you can kind of take them out and reform them into a patty before you get going. Now because we are in that medium high, these are gonna crisp pretty quick. We wanna just go ahead and check on them. Oh, and that's beautiful. And that's exactly what we want. So we again have that crust, that cake, and that's gonna really lock in the moisture of the salmon cake. So these guys are ready to go. This pan is hot enough where residual heat is going to sear that other side, and this whole pan will go back into our oven. Now we're looking for 145 in the middle. If it's a little lower than that, that is okay. 140 is fine because we have gotten our fish to that temperature. Now, with the salmon cakes, it is probably one of our favorite condiments. It's our garlic aioli. Once a student learns how to make the garlic aioli, they end up making it probably twice a week, and they just put it on everything. This is one of our recipes that includes it, and it's really, really simple to do. So at Embrace, we will use our vegan mayonnaise, and then we'll usually use roasted garlic, whole garlic cloves, and then we use just a bullet blender, and that works great. Today I want to even simplify that. What's going to go into our aioli is 1/4 of a cup of our vegan mayo. That lemon juice from earlier, we're going to toss in. Now this is about a tablespoon of lemon juice. We're going to do about a teaspoon of just ground garlic. Now, there is a different garlic flavor profile from powder or fresh, and we really like the ground in this as well. Pinch of salt and a pinch of pepper. We'll just whisk that up. And that's exactly what we're looking for. We want a little bit of movement, but we don't want it to be kind of at like a loose sauce or mustard consistency. So we'll put that aside. Now, one thing I do want to talk about is just our induction heat. Now, induction, a lot of folks aren't going to have that at home. And that's totally okay. We at Skyterra have the hot pans of induction heat, and we use all-clad pans on those heaters. Now, all-clad is probably like any chef's dream. We get asked all the time by people at Skyterra Wellness and our students at Embrace, what should I buy? And all-clad is the best gift ever. They're solid pans, they're heavy, they go in the oven. If someone gifts me an all-clad pan, I'm in. That's a gift idea, Mom. Okay, so we have cooked our salmon cake in the oven, and really these go pretty quick. I was able to get this one up to temp in about 6 minutes because, again, our food is already cooked. We've got a great crust. Everything's been cooked well. It's got structure. It feels dense. And again, we're really highlighting that salmon. This is one where, as the students progress through this recipe, they gain so much respect for all of the ingredients that they use. They get to really see essentially a whole fish turn into something that is super familiar for them, a burger. Now, we kind of switch it up on what we serve this on. Today I'm going to do the crowd favorite, which is a grilled toasted ciabatta roll. We've done brioche buns in the past. We even had a student that requested just plain old sesame burger buns, and that was amazing. This is probably my favorite way to go. I just love the ciabatta. I love the kind of elegance that brings to this dish. And anytime we can eat bread, we feel good about it. So, toasted, we actually grilled this one because we want to make it look awesome. But just simple toasted will do. We've got some Roma tomatoes and we've got some fresh romaine. Now with our recipe, and it shows in the preparation of this recipe, which you guys will get, just about a tablespoon. You don't need a whole lot of this because again, it's really packed with flavor. And there's already a lot of flavor in our burger. This isn't simply just like a ground beef burger. There's a lot of other good stuff in it. So, there is our burger. Now, we kind of rotate through our sides. We try to really focus on what we can highlight locally and what we can highlight that's in season. Following our Skyterra plate, what we really like to do is we have our main dish, we have our side vegetable. Most of the time it is roasted broccoli or sauteed lemon asparagus. It's amazing. And then a little bit of starch. So a lot of the time we'll do toasted brown rice, or we'll do just roasted fingerling potatoes, and that's an amazing finished meal right there. Okay. And there it is. It's as easy as that. And make a ton of them. Freeze them. They're amazing. Cool. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you have any more questions, please feel free to go to skyterraembrace.com. There's tons of information there. We also have another demo coming in December. It's December 15th, it's Thursday, so just stay tuned to our Facebook page and check it out, but look forward to seeing that. Okay, thank you guys.